Hello everyone and welcome to another high-elo game of Age of Empires. Today, forget about the Boeing B-17 and let's look at some fortresses on the ground as FreakinAndy, playing as the Ethiopians in orange, takes on classicpro, playing as the Armenians in blue. Now all the players heard their herdables, explore their immediate and closed-off surrounding, and already start pulling wild boars and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age, most likely Castle Age as well, ASAP. Why don't we take a look at the Civ matchup, and then we'll take a look at the map that we are going to be watching today. Now, the Ethiopians are a civilization designed to kill its opponents as fast as humanly possible. Their foot archers are the fastest firing foot archers in the game. Their onagers, scorpions, rams, and bombard cannons can all be upgraded to have an even bigger blast radius. And their unique unit, the Shotel warrior, is a lightning fast, incredibly strong, but overall kind of fragile infantry unit that trains in only 4 seconds once you upgrade it to its elite form, to help strengthen their army on the battlefield, because some of their units, I'm looking at you, Shotel warrior, have a very low amount of HP. Both their Shotel warriors and their camel units can be upgraded to take less damage from all mounted units in the game. And when I say all mounted units, I do mean all, both melee and ranged. Ooh, bit of a serpentine pattern here by our Ethiopian as he gets the boar not unscathed, but he'll be able to heal that scout. As we see, we are on fortress. Everyone starts with the castle, which we'll get into in a second. But as I mentioned, the Royal Heirs upgrade, as it is called, does allow their Shotels and camel units to be a little bit safer from mounted units, although when you're facing off against the Armenians, not exactly something I'm going to expect to see. Now, to support their military endeavors, the Ethiopians do get 100 food and gold for free every time they go up in age. They get the pikeman upgrade for free once they hit castle, which does save them about 300 resources, and their economy is much harder to raid. In fact, they're much harder to raid because their outposts come with a big +3 boost to their line of sight and cost 0 stone at all whatsoever. So absolutely no excuse for FreakinAndy not to absolutely dominate the map here with outposts that cost only a little bit of wood. Now let's take a look at the Ethiopians we've already looked at. Let's take a look at the Armenians. Sorry guys, it's a Saturday. Well, not a Saturday while I'm recording this, but I'm going to use the excuse that it's a Saturday because this video is going to, I think, come out on a Saturday. The Armenians, primarily an infantry civilization to start with. All of their infantry come with extra line of sight and are available in age earlier, which means Armenians do have access to spearmen in the Dark Age, long swordsmen and pikemen in Feudal, and two-handed swordsmen, champions, and halberdiers in Castle Age. Now, these same infantry units, except for the spearman line units, can be upgraded to get a big boost to their HP, plus 30 HP, and their first unique unit, the warrior priest, blurs the line between man of war and man of peace, being an infantry unit that can actually heal friendly units and gather relics, and can also pretty much kill a whole bunch of other units out on the map with a double fisting of weapons. Now, to support their I would say slow-ish moving bipedal army on the battlefield, their infantry, as I just mentioned, the Armenians do have a second unique unit, the composite bowman. This is a foot archer whose attack actually ignores the armor of all land units except for siege. And lastly, economically, to help them get their economy and their military industrial complex up and running ASAP, the first fortified church that the Armenians build comes automatically with a free relic that automatically starts generating gold for them. Their mule carts are a little bit cheaper, and all mule cart technologies are 40% more effective, which means Armenian miners and lumberjacks are a little bit more productive than usual once upgrades are researched inside this donkey cart. Those are the two civilizations we've got before us. It looks like FreakinAndy first up the feudal market blacksmith for him. Now you might be wondering, this is a closed off map. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot of it, and take a look at the battlefield today. Kind of reminds you of Arena and Arabia. If they ever once met for a drunken romp and produced an offspring, you would get basically Fortress. Like Arena, very important to look at where the primary resources inside of the settlement are located to make sure they're not easily lameable, to make sure they're not easily attackable. Looks like primary gold for classicpro to the back, stone to the front, gold to the back, stone to the front for Andy as well. And like on Arena, everyone has a few extra patches of resources, although a little bit more on this map. Not just one patch of gold, 2 patches of gold, and 1 patch of stone outside the walls. But my favorite part of reviewing the map on Fortress, which we'll also get into a second, you might be wondering, why the hell did everyone start with a castle? Well, that's just the map. Everyone starts with towers protecting their settlements, and the tower placement can be pretty darn wonky. For example, these two towers, which are, I guess, coming in maybe useful. They both missed terribly. And so Classic Pro, who's already heading up to Castle Age, but a minute behind his opponent, saves his scout from any kind of damage. But sometimes the random generation of towers really makes it pretty funny. Like, what the hell is the point of this tower? What are you protecting against? The Predator mothership? Danny Glover? Donald Glover? I forget the name of the... I always confuse the name. Who was it from Predator 2 and Lethal Weapon? It was Danny or Donald Glover. One of them is the actor, the hilarious Childish Gambino from Community. The other is I'm too old for this shit guy from Lethal Weapon. Another tower here pretty well placed. Another tower here pretty well placed. Looks like FreakinAndy first to hit Castle Age. 2 extra town centers. Love the location of this one. Stone, forest. This one, oh man, look at this. This is the quadfecta. Is there even a horse racing bet for the top, picking the first 4 horses? I know there's the trifecta, but is there a quadfecta here? You get the wood, you get the stone, the gold, and plenty of space for farms. Let's take a look very quickly at the towers of our Armenian. Nice off to the side here, 2 of them. One in the forward position, and then and you have this. What the hell is this? How the hell are you supposed to repair this if it gets damaged? You can't really send a villager through the forest to grandma's house. So what the hell are you supposed to do? This is where it's wonky. One player with towers protecting them from aliens. One tower that can basically never be repaired. And so if ever this tower gets damaged, you are on your own, pal. You are not surviving. Now, I mentioned 12 minutes ago, but I mentioned it nonetheless, that we are on the map called Fortress. And in Fortress, if you notice in the beginning of the game, you don't just start like an arena like on Arabia with 3 villagers. You start with 10 villagers. You're obviously original town center. You start, I believe, with 4 houses, 5 farms, a castle, and a barracks. So unlike Arena, that has a generally 3-part meta, where right now we are entering phase 2 of the 3 parts. Phase 1, everyone rushes up to Castle Age. Phase 2, everyone in Castle Age starts fighting over these relics. And then stage 3, once the relics are gathered and brought back to the various national museums of the civilizations, whether legitimately or not, as happens in human history, well, then phase 3 begins, and then the players build big armies, get out on the map, and start attacking each other. Now, this sometimes does happen on Fortress, but this structure, this Lord of the Rings castle, this beautiful brick castle, changes the dynamic, because in Castle Age now you have the immediate availability of your unique unit. And so we'll see if the players do try to fight each other over these relics. For now, the game's a little bit peaceful. 14.5 minutes in, not a single kill. As here we go, the double fisting hatchet and dagger. Man of war, man of peace. What the hell are you, warrior priest? For now, what he is a man gathering relics. Oh my goodness, are we gonna have the first kill? No, no, you bastards. Why did you disengage? We're 15 minutes in. Give us some bloodshed. As much as it's fun to watch peaceful negotiations between nations in real life, we don't want none of that here in Age of Empires. We want these guys to absolutely wreck each other, or at least try to wreck each other. Armenian here with a monastery, interestingly built. Now, usually when they build it this close to the wall, they delete a section of the wall so that the warrior priest can at least pop out easier. But this is right up against the wall in a very forward position. Is Classic Pro, excuse me, got tongue-tied there. Is Classic Pro going to be the one who puts on the aggression? Now a actual monk pops out. Andy just currently training his first monk. By the way, Classic Pro has seen the one relic up here, has not seen the relic right next to him, has not seen any of these relics here on the western shores of the map. What about Andy? Andy also, the vision is not great. These guys haven't killed any units. Why have they not both scouted 100% of the map at the 17-minute mark? Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, blue looks like he's about to encounter one of these relics here. Look at that attack on the warrior priest, by the way. Still does have monk armor. You see monk 0, which means scouts and light cav and whatnot still do bonus damage against this unit. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. One tile to the south. Oh, that's so sour. And now we're finally going to have the first kill of the game as FreakinAndy guns down a monk from behind. The monk lies dead, blood splattered everywhere. Now, the difference between that monk and this warrior priest is that this warrior priest is not going to convert anything. He's just going to fight back. And this is the OG scout, by the way, the one that took a little bit of damage from the blue scout. I don't know if that's the original scout. That must be the original scout. Okay, so they both healed up their scouts. Shotels are out. So here's what I mean by fragile unit. No armor of any kind. Think camel level 0 armor. 45 HP, basically an archer unit's level of HP. But look at those stats. Look at the movement speed. Look at the attack. Okay, blue scout does get zoned out here. Orange monk finds a relic. Okay, so we're starting to have a little bit more movement. You know, both players had their prune juice, their Viagra. So there's a little bit of movement, you know, where we're starting to see some more bloodshed. Our Ethiopian takes a massive 100% kill lead, 2-1. His warrior priest still taking, still down 30 HP. But look at I mean, just the stats are always fun to look at. At least for me, I don't know if it is for you guys, but for me, it's always super fun. We're 20 minutes into the game, a total of 3 kills. A good time for us to take a look very zoomed out and see what the players have. 4 town centers for Andy, who, look at this, spit roasts this gold here. I like that. He's built his military industrial complex outside of the settlement. No safety for me, he says. I don't care. I want to be the one putting on the aggression, maybe. 2 archery ranges. By the way, we're still in phase 2 of the game because nobody has taken this 5th relic. It's currently 4-1 with the Armenians. Has Orange seen the relic? Yeah. Andy has seen that relic. He's got Shotels here. Now, the Armenians always introduce a bit of a interesting dynamic into games because where originally the map has 5 relics, because their first fortified church automatically has a free relic inside, it does create 6 potential relics for one player to gather instead of the usual 5, which is always fun. More archery ranges. This is interesting. One of the biggest weaknesses, not that I, you know, try to predict anything here, but there's a lot of talk. Yesterday's game with the Ratas, the most hated unit in the game. I would say the composite bowman is a very close second. There's a lot of chatter. By the way, Armenian has converted a Shotel, which is now attacking his former team, and a villager as well. Are you going to get to safety? Oh, he does get to safety. That is very sour for blue. Very good for orange for a second, but why did he stop converting? Was there some fresh threat? Yeah, there's a Shotel here. You will eventually convert this villager, no? Yeah, the monk. I don't know. He's got 3-4 monks here. Why is he using just the one? This guy has full faith. This guy has full faith as well. And he converts him. But the composite bowman, basically being an archer version of the latest, although significantly weaker with a quarter of the attack, is at this point, I think, one of the most controversial units in the game. Is it good? Is it bad? When they first came out, they were slaughtering everything. And then people realized, wait a second, look at that abysmal range. 4 base range. Which means the Ethiopians, with their fastest firing foot archers, which it looks like, oh, look at that, FreakinAndy is heading that way with Bracer, with chemistry, conscription. I mean, conscription applies to everything, but with Bracer and chemistry, their biggest weakness is being outranged. And so right now, FreakinAndy perhaps expecting a bigger composite bowman push, which is not coming. Instead, he's gonna, oh, look at the mind games. So he shows a few composite bowmen, does classic pro. Andy reacts by starting to go archer and teching into archers. And then our Armenian goes into elite skirmishers. absolute. I mean, if that's mind games, then congratulations to Classic Pro, because that was just a fantastic. Now, obviously, nothing's set in stone. We're talking about 6 crossbows, not exactly 60, but still, this is potentially an interesting matchup here with the Ethiopian. Yeah, there's the Arbalest. Okay, so he has baited out an Arbalest transition by only showing 3. By only showing 3 composite bowmen. So we are now in phase 3, by the way. All 6, I should say all 6, all 5 relics have been gathered, 4-2 in favor of our Armenian, who brings forth 2 fortified churches. Remember, villagers can still garrison inside of these. And now we're getting a bit of a castle war here right in front of FreakinAndy's base. So the pace of the game being dictated by our Armenian, just by virtue of him plopping down infrastructure right in the Ethiopian's face. The Ethiopian, though, is going to have... I'm trying to click on one. 1.7 attack tells me he still does not have Thumb Ring, because when they're fully upgraded, these guys attack as fast as a Mangadai at 1.4 seconds delay. Now he's also going into crossbow, so maybe I read things, maybe I overestimated things. You guys know sometimes I maybe willfully, maybe not, read too much into a game, into maneuvers and moves by the players. If Classic Pro baited out an archer build out of the Ethiopian while he was intending to counter it with his skirmishers, then kudos to him. There's Thumb Ring. Now look at the attack speed. 1.4 seconds between attack. My goodness. Each one of these guys is basically a Mangadai right now. Both castles mutually assured destruction. Both players going up to Arbalest. Our Armenian is really going to contest Ethiopian supremacy when it comes to firing arrows. Okay. Our Ethiopian does bring more bombards. Area of effect 0.5 means I don't think we have torsion engines just yet. Torsion engines is the upgrade that increases the blast radius of all of these units. All of these, I should say, heavy hitting units. And this is what I was talking about. If this was the move out of Classic Pro, he is trading trash units, skirmishers, for Arbalests. And he's basically... Look at this vision. Wow. So he can now control the north and east of the map. The south still up for grabs. He has no vision there. But that unfortunate house does get destroyed, along with, it looks like 2 others, or 3 others maybe. Looks like a cluster of 4. And all of a sudden our Ethiopian army supply is down to 50. Now he's transitioning into elite Shotel warriors, which are going to be pumped out in 4 seconds each. Getting iron casting. He's already up to the 2nd armor upgrade as well. They are going to absolutely go through these skirmishers like a hot knife through butter, but he's got to mass them. You can't send them up individually just because their HP is so shit. And now that they're elite, they at least get 1 pierce armor as a base. But this is exactly what you can't do. And I love that Classic Pro, by the way, is mixing in a few more composite bowmen here. Now they attack on an 8, and I believe that's as good as it gets. I don't think the elite version attacks any quicker, rather attacks any harder. But with even just a few composite bowmen, these Shotel warriors will fall very quickly. Orange is expanding up north, but blue sees all of it. I'm surprised Orange didn't take down these outposts with a few Shotels. And the war of attrition here in the center continues. Looks like our Armenian has killed 11 villagers to the 3 of his opponent, but FreakinAndy has killed more on the whole. And it looks like he's about to get a few more trebs. These bombards targeting. Boom, boom, go the balls. 1 fiery, 1 steel and lead and metal. And that's it. No more trebs for blue. So the attack has been stopped. The heavy hitting units, there's 4 bombards and 2 trebs for orange. This is the moment to push, and he is doing exactly that. Unfortunately for him, he is going up against 18 skirmishers, 13 monks. We saw Hera's monk control yesterday in yesterday's video. Oh, that's certainly one way to deal with a more powerful army, is to just take it. We saw Hera's monk control yesterday. Let's see how Classic Pro's monk control is today. Again, he is continuing to trade out trash units for arbalests. Arbalests, of course, not exactly the most expensive of units. Getting siege engineers as well for our Ethiopian. Bombard area of effect is still 0.5 tiles, which I think still does mean he does not have torsion engines. Castle's back up for Classic Pro. There's a lot of... Why are all these villagers in the forward position? Andy's doing a good job expanding eastward. There are, unfortunately for him, if you look at the mini-map, this is dead land. There's no scarce resources here. All of the extra gold is up to the north, and the north is firmly behind enemy lines for FreakinAndy. So that is just an unfortunate spawning of these 2 additional gold patches on the mini-map. But he's gotten another castle down. His bombards are still here. They're getting converted, but they're still here. One gets converted. Will the second? Nope. I love that we're barely seeing any melee units. This is like, this is reminding me of when I first played Age of Empires 25 years ago, and everyone's first love, the Britons, the longbow. You just build a death ball of archer units, and you try to just destroy your opponent before he can even reach you. There's barely any melee units in this game. What is Classic Pro building down here? Okay. I could literally say 1 + 1 is 2, and one of these players will figure out a way to make it 3.5. I said there's no melee units. I like that there's no melee units. Immediately 6 stables plop down. Now the Armenians don't get hussars, they don't get paladins, and they're missing the 3rd armor upgrade. So I wonder what that is for. It is for light cav, it looks like. Oh, and this is actually, now that I think about it, this is going to go very bad for FreakinAndy. He's got to suss this out. He's got to explore. He's got to get some vision. You're the Ethiopians. Put down an outpost. Why do I say it's going to go pretty bad? Why I think it's going to go pretty bad for our Ethiopian? Because he's expanded outside of his settlement over here. He's expanded outside of his settlement up here. And the forward portion of his settlement is completely open. So there's many places that Classic Pro can insert these 19 light cavalry units that he's training. Now he needs to get a bit more armor upgrades, and I love it. More Treb Snipe, Monk Snipe. Andy is doing an amazing job getting the most expensive units of his opponents, Trebs and Monks. Although 1 Treb does survive. And now the villagers are moving forward. Okay, our Ethiopian is nowhere close to being population capped. Not too sure does he think he's playing the Spanish? These are not supremacy villagers. And now he's streaming in Shotels 1 at a time. Oh no. Uh-oh. I see an army group to the left. I see some movement to the right, and this is exactly what I was thinking is gonna happen. Now he's also thrusting into the center, and Andy with 43 gold does not have the ability to fight on 3 different fronts, especially not when his main front is so squishy and vulnerable. Your units are down to half their HP. You're fighting against a counter unit, a castle, and now light cavalry unit that can close in and snipe. And looks like the light cav is to the back. 0 kills though. Oh, the mob surrounds the light cav, but these are not scouts. This is not Feudal Age. Oh, you're not gonna take these guys down without a fight. And looks like the arbalests of the front have been destroyed. A few pikemen join in as well. 2 more bombards down, and all of a sudden, our Ethiopian is dead. I was gonna say all of a sudden our Ethiopian's no longer got his heavy hitting units. And wow, this sometimes happens, and a lot more than you think. In Fortress games, it doesn't happen so much in arena games, just because, and I'm comparing it to another closed map. Arena, you would have your flanks covered by massive forests, and so unless you expand out into the center portion of the map, either to the sides or up the guts, you're not really that vulnerable to the enemy being able to side swipe you like this. But on this map, which is again the bastard child of Arena and Arabia. I guess it has 2 holidays. It gets 2 different gifts. But here you're much more likely to see moves like this. So I've seen this a lot in Fortress games where players tunnel vision on the main attack in the center or in front of one of their bases. Here, doesn't matter. And then the first player to try to attack the flanks. And by the way, infrastructure as well. Good for Classic Pro. More infrastructure here. The first player to do this generally tends to win. Because FreakinAndy, who is already, by the way, not doing great here in the center of the map. Who's kidding who? He has been trading out costly gold-intensive arbalests. Now, not individually, but in the quantity that he's had them, it's got to be the most trained unit. 116 arbalests. I mean, even if you win this battle with the skirmishers, you're not really winning the battle. You know what I mean? You're not really coming out on top here. So he's not exactly doing fantastic in the center. He's managed to push Classic Pro back into kind of the center of the map. And look at this. He has managed to go behind enemy lines to get the gold. I'm surprised that Classic Pro, he must have seen this move out. He definitely sees the outpost. I wonder why he allowed this to happen. So both of them taking the extra gold on the map. But unfortunately, yeah, I wonder if his resources are just... I mean, we saw there's no resources here down to the south, but it looks like he's completely out of the precious resources. There's no more gold, no more stone, and now he's being raided. Whereas Classic Pro, he has the same access to the same amount of gold as his opponent, but his army's trash. So he doesn't really need to do that much gold mining, and barracks are going to come down. What did he think he was going to do with barracks against skirmishers and a castle and monks and composite bowmen? Okay. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the Ethiopians get champions. I don't know why did he go barracks? Is it because he saw the cavalry? In which case, why are you building the barracks here? Why not build them here? In any event, like I said, I've seen this happen several times, if not many times, where players just get tunnel visioned in the center. And like I said, things are already not going Andy's way. Now he's being attacked on the flanks. Never ending stream, by the way. How many stables did Classic Pro go up to? Sorry for zooming out so much. 15 is pretty damn good. So Classic Pro just putting on the aggression from minute 1, not letting the Ethiopian get out of his base. And the Ethiopian finally does manage to bust out from the confinement, from the warm embrace of Armenian death, only to have his side slashed by these light cavalry units. Now, they're not fully upgraded yet. They still need Blast Furnace, which will take a minute and 40 seconds, but still attacking on a 9. Now, Andy has to micro 1, 2, 3, 4 fronts when he's already down, even though score-wise, he's pretty, I'm going to say pretty ahead, but wow, look at the scores. Almost identical. Let's take a look at the stats. That's very interesting. 13-5 to 13-4 is pretty interesting. Peak APM right at the beginning of the game. Peak APM also right at the beginning of the game. I'm assuming this is when they were pulling boars, one and the other here. Arbalest skirmishers. Economy is not too different at all. Without the extra 1,800 of relic gold, the economies would be almost identical. Trash resources, of course, going to our Armenian gold and stone. Gold, not so much. Stone, also just a castle's worth. Where did all this stone go? Did he die with stone? Where the hell did his stone go? He's got his main castle. He's got an extra castle here. He built a castle that got destroyed. It's our Armenian who built 2 castles that got destroyed. So very interesting there. 28 conversions out of 212 is more than 10%. Was that like 13, 14% of the Ethiopian army got converted? And that's not a bad 10 to 13%. That's bombard cannons. That's arbalests. That is very sour indeed for our Ethiopian, who doesn't get a single conversion of his own. And by the way, let's see if he did get torsion engines. This interface always messes with me a little bit because the overlay covers where I want to look. So I have to keep my mouse kind of hovering over here while my eyes look at this side of the screen. I don't see a single unique technology here for anybody. Unless I'm missing something entirely. I see some elite Shotel warriors, which he got and then barely trained any Shotel warriors. But a fantastic game an impressive game out of Classic Pro. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. Was that a 4D chess move? Did he show a few composite bowmen so he could lure out a whole bunch of arbalests and then he would respond with trash skirmishers? Was that, or am I reading too much into it? And he just happened to see that his opponent was going crossbow and arbalest and then just trained a trash counter unit on his own. Doesn't really matter. Look at all the dead bodies on the dance floor. This is exactly what we come here to see. 307 kills, exactly 300 military and only 7 civilians. But look at that stat. Wow, 261 killed by the Armenians, but 76 of it. Literally killing 11 times. 1,100% more villager kills than his opponent. And with those villager kills, it is our Armenian who kind of but not really penetrated through the center. But this may have all just been a ruse, at least at this part of the game, just so that these stables could get up. And now he's starting to pump out 25 light cap, 46 skirmishers. And so with the rear ending, the side swiping, and the transition to light cavalry, FreakinAndy just finds himself unable to defend on 4 fronts, lives to fight another day, taps out, and it is Classic Pro who is victorious. But GG to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.